Привit. Here is the story of the wind. Who will tell us of the things of old, and of the things that have been? Once there were two brothers in a village, one blessed with wealth, the other with a heap of children. One day, come harvest time, the poor man, who had many children, left his wife to reap and thresh his little plot of wheat, but the wind came and swept it all away, down to the last grain. Filled with wrath, the poor man swore to seek out the wind. His wife warned him against this madness. Thou knowest the saying, if thou dost want to find the wind, seek him on the open steppe. He can go 10 different ways to thy one. Think of that, dear husband, and go not at all. I mean to go, replied the man, though I never return home again. Then he took leave of his wife and children and went straight out into the wide world to seek the wind on the open steppe. He went on farther and farther till he saw before him a forest, and on the borders of that forest stood a hut on hen's legs. The man went into this hut and was filled with astonishment, for there lay on the floor a huge, huge old man, as gray as milk. He lay there stretched at full length, his head on the seat of honor, with an arm and leg in each of the 4 corners, and all his hair standing on end. It was none other than the wind itself. The man stared at this awful ancient with terror, for never in his life had he seen anything like this. God help thee, old father, cried he. Good health to thee, good man, said the ancient giant. Why are you out here? I am wandering through the wide world in search of the wind, said the man. If I can find him, I will turn back. If I don't find him, I shall go on and on. But why? For the wind came, and as I harvested my crop, my meager crop, the wind scattered all that I had. And I wished to tell the wind what harm he had done me. The old man confessed, look no further, I am the wind. I had no idea that I had done this wrong to you, but permit me to make amends as best I can. I cannot bring back your crop, but I can give you this sack, and from this sack, all you have to say is sack, sack, give me to eat and drink, and the sack will give you endless amounts of food and drink. But you must heed this. Do not, on your way home, stop at any tavern. And the poor man saw that his fortunes had changed, and he thanked the wind and left the old man in the hut with the chicken legs. He had not gone very far when he passed by a tavern, and he felt a burning desire to find out whether the wind had spoken the truth in the matter of the sack. How can a man pass a tavern without going into it, thought he. I'll go in, come what may. The wind won't know because he cannot see. So he went into the tavern and hung up his sack upon a peg. The man who kept the tavern immediately said to him, What do you wish? Just your table and a seat, dog, said the man, filled with arrogance suddenly, and turning angrily to the sack, he cried, Sack, sack, give me to eat and drink. Immediately the table was covered with all sorts of meats and liquors. Then all in the tavern crowded round full of amazement, and asked all manner of questions. Why, what is this, good man? Said they. Never have we seen anything like this before. Ask no questions, cried the man, but sit down to eat, for there is enough for all. So all set to and ate until they were full up to the ears, and they drank the man's health in pitchers of wine of every sort, and said, Drink, good man, and spare not. When thou hast drunk thy fill thou shalt lodge with us this night. will make ready a bed for thee. None shall vex thee. Come now, eat and drink whatever thy soul desires. So the men in the tavern flattered him with devilish cunning and almost forced the wine jars to his lips. This simple fellow did not perceive their malice and cunning, and he drank deeply, so that he could not even move on his own, but went to sleep where he was. Then the evil fellows in the tavern changed the sack and substituted another one of similar appearance. Then they woke him up. "Good fellow," they cried, "get up, it's time to go home. There's the morning light. Go home to your wife." The man got up and scratched the back of his head, and he took the sack from the peg, and when he arrived at his house, he cried to his wife, "Open the door, wife." And his wife obeyed, and he went in and hung his sack on the peg and said, "Sit down at the table, dear wife, and you children, sit down too. We shall eat." The wife looked at him as if he were a madman, and then he sought to reassure her and said, "Sack, sack, give my children something to eat." Predictably enough, nothing came out. Again he cried, "Sack, sack, give me food and drink." And predictably, nothing changed. And then he began to think about what happened. He had been asleep in the tavern. He had been drunk in the tavern, the place he was told not to enter. And in his frustration, he seized a stick and he beat the sack to shreds and even damaged the wall of his chata. Then he set off to seek the wind again. But his wife stayed at home and put everything to rights, railing and scolding at her husband as a madman. In time he returned to the hut on chicken legs and called to the wind, "Hail to thee, O wind!" "Good health to thee, old man," replied the wind. Then the wind asked, "Why are you here again, O man? Did I not give thee a sack? What more do you want?" "A pretty sack indeed," replied the man. "That sack of thine has been the cause of much mischief to me and to mine." "What mischief?" "Why, it would not give me food or drink. In my frustration, I tore the sack to shreds." The wind replied, "But this could not happen. The sack should have provided you. What did I tell you to do? To not enter a tavern. Did you enter a tavern?" No. I passed it by." "Did you enter a tavern? Are you lying to me?" "What if I lied? Still, you promised to give me this sack which would feed my family. I need something else. Please, pray, good wind, give me something else." "Very well. Here is a ram. This little ram. All you need to say to it is, 'Little ram, scatter money.'" And as the wind spoke these words, the little ram shook his body and coins flew out. Coins of copper, of silver, of gold. They fell to the floor of the hut. And the man thanked the wind, and the wind warned again, "Don't go in the tavern." "Oh, I won't, said the man. So the man went along leading the little ram by a rope, and they came to the tavern, the very same tavern he'd been before. And again there was a strong desire upon the man to go in. So he stood by the door and began thinking whether he should go in or not, and whether he had any need to find out the truth about the little ram. I'll go in. Only this time I won't get drunk. I'll drink just a glass or so, and then I'll go home. And so into the tavern he went, dragging the little ram after him, for he was afraid to let it go. Now, when those same evil men who were in the tavern saw the little ram, they began shrieking and saying, "What are you thinking? You're bringing this animal in here, this filthy animal? Is there no barn outside that you can put this ram?" "Hold your tongues, wretches," replied the man. "Watch. I will show you a miracle." And he said foolishly, little ram, scatter money." And the ram did so. And he bid those in the tavern, "Please, take the money and bring me pivo." And he started with the one drink. And the deceivers chose to give him more. And as he slept, they brought in a little ram of similar appearance and tied the same rope to the ram and awakened the fool. "Look, that's the light of day. Go home, go home." And he did so. And as he arrived home, he called to his wife, "Wife, open the door. Gather the children. I wish to show you something." And as he entered his home, his Hatahit said, little ram, scatter money." Predictably, there was no money. And again, in a deeper voice, a louder voice, he cried, little ram, scatter money." And it wasn't happening. And his wife began to rail at him. So the man came to the wind for the third time and said, "Wilt thou tell me, please, if thou art truly the wind or no?" "What is the matter with you?" asked the wind. "I'll tell you what's the matter. Why hast thou laughed at and mocked me and made a fool of me? How? How did I do this? I gave you a sack which would have given you food and drink, but you were careless and you went into a tavern. I gave you a ram which would scatter money before you, and again you lost it in a tavern. What is the point of giving you anything? Please give me something else, something else." And the wind said, "Oh, I shall." And he seized a drum and he cried, "Drum, drum, send forth my henchmen. Deal with this man." And 12 dwarfs leaped out of the drum and they began to beat the man. They began to beat him senseless. And he cried out in agony and he pled for mercy. And then what the wind decided to do is give the man the drum. "Into the drum, my henchman. Now, old man, thou may have this drum with the 12 henchmen and go to the tavern, and if they will not give you back the sack and the ram, you will know what to say." So the man thanked the wind for his good advice and went on his way. He came to the inn and looked the poorer for having been beaten by the 12 henchmen. And this time he did not seem to be carrying money, only a drum. And when the men saw that he brought nothing with him, they said, "Don't come in here. We have no brandy." "What do I want with your brandy?" cried the man in a rage. "Well, then, why are you here?" "I have come for my own." "Thy own? What do you mean? What do I mean? My sack, my ram, which you must give up to me. What ram? What sack? You took them with you when you left. Yes, but you changed them. What do you mean changed? We'll go before the magistrate, and you shall hear about this from us. Yes, you will have an evil time of it if you go before the magistrate, said the man. But at any rate, give me back my own. And he sat down upon a bench. Then the men caught him by the shoulders to cast him out and cried, "Away, bumpkin! Does anyone know where this man comes from? No doubt he's an evildoer." The man could not stand this any longer, and so cried, "Out of the drum, my henchmen!" And the 12 henchmen appeared from the drum, and these tiny creatures created havoc all through the tavern, and they beat the men soundly until at last they gave up the sack, which produced food and drink, and the ram, which would scatter money. And the man went home and called to his wife, "Wife, open the door. Look what I have brought." And the wife rolled her eyes, a sack and a ram. Again we shall do this. And he bid the children gather around the table and place the sack upon the table. "Sack, sack, give food and drink." And food and drink appeared. Little ram, scatter money." And money appeared all over the floor of the chata. And the wife at last believed him, and they rejoiced at their good fortune. And in time, this man, the poor brother, thought of his elder brother, the rich and successful one. We should invite him. So they made ready, the poor brother and his wife, to invite the rich brother. The poor brother was eager for this. He at last would show his rich brother that he had amounted to something. The rich brother arrived with scorn upon his lips, a sneer, and he did not expect much from his poor brother. But the poor brother invited him in, gave him a seat of honor in the chata, placed the sack upon the table, said, "Sack, sack, give us food and drink." And magically, food and drink appeared, filling the table. And the rich brother was amazed at this. And the poor brother then said, little ram, scatter money." And upon the floor of the chata, coins of copper and silver and gold fell. And the rich brother was envious of this good fortune that the poor brother had. And he said, give me these things, and I will give you 2 oxen, and I'll give you a plow to plow your fields. And so the poor brother agreed to this. After all, this was his rich brother, his elder brother, and he chose to obey him. But the next day, the plow broke almost immediately, and the oxen suddenly appeared sick, and they lay on their sides, and the poor man beat them to get them to rise, but it was no good. And in time, the oxen died. So the poor brother went to his wealthy brother, and he wanted satisfaction. "What do you want here?" "You gave me a plow that was ready to break. It broke as I used it in the fields. You gave me 2 oxen that were at death's door. I want my sack, and I want my little ram back." "I do not know what you are speaking of. Go away." And as the brothers began to argue, the rich brother bid his servants, "See him to the door, him. See him off my property, off my lands. I will not speak to this one again." So the poor brother went home, and he got the drum. And he returned to the rich brother's house and cried, "Out of the drum, my henchmen!" And little creatures burst forth from the drum, and they beat not only the rich man, but they beat his servants, until at last the rich brother returned the sack and returned the ram. "Be gone!" And the poor brother went home, and he and his wife and his children lived in comfort and ease. He did not have to plow a field. He had all the food and drink he wanted. He did not have to work for money. The little ram provided it. And so it was until the end of their days.